All right, guys, Loop Elements Pro. I am ecstatic to show this to you guys today. We're talking 4 years of development that went into this plugin and almost a decade of my life put into the thought of building here. And I'm ecstatic to be at the end of the road on this to show you guys what we have came up with. So let's dig in to Loop Elements Pro. So this is Loop Elements Pro running in standalone mode, which means it works completely outside of the DAW. You don't need Pro Tools, you don't need Ableton, you don't need Logic. It is its own app. Although it does run as a plugin in any of these DAWs, you can use it pretty easily, simply the same functions, the same features, just as a plugin. But I want to take some time right now and highlight standalone mode, which I think is absolutely amazing and one of the key things that's going to be dope about this that you guys are going to love. All right. So this is the interface. As you can see, everything is laid out really, really intuitively. You got your mixer area, you got your transport, your time signature, you've got metronome, you've got your presets, you've got BPM, you've got effects, and we're going to slow down and we're going to go through all of these one by one and show you guys how all of these things work. So let's just take a listen to Loop Elements first and just, click on a random preset. So different loops like that, really, really dope loops. But let's get into some of the fat stuff. I just want to just show you guys some loops. So let me show you guys something cool right here. So you see up here where the BPM is, because you can adjust this BPM to be any BPM you want for it to be, faster, as slow as you need for it to be. Right? Double click brings you back to the default 120, right? But I want to highlight something here called preset BPM, right? When you click on that, this is kind of what it says. It is the BPM that is suggested by the preset. So every preset has like a BPM on it. So if I go here, you'll see like 116, 4 on the floor. And as you can see, my global BPM changed to 116 as soon as I clicked on it. You know what I mean? So if I go down here, 94, and it's a seamless switch without you having to do anything. But if you don't like that BPM, you want it faster, you can speed it up. Or slow it down. You know what I'm saying? But it just works for any loop that you click on. Need a nice bump. For my church boys. So you got all of that locked in, just all kind of really dope stuff. So let's kind of experiment with some things. I want to show you guys something really, really cool. So first of all, we have key commands built into Loop Elements Pro, right? Which means anytime you hit anything, like you hit the space bar, that plays, that stops, right? So that's what the little icon down at the bottom is, a little thing that's a space bar when you hit the space bar, right? But we also have other key commands, like if you use the number keys, like 1, that mutes channel 1. 2, use channel 2, 3, use channel 3, so on and so forth, all the way up to 8. And you can use them all at the same time. Like I can literally press all of these at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like key mapping inside of like Ableton or so. You know what I mean? So if you're using this as a performance tool, and y'all are, grooving with that, and then you're at the part of the song where you need a breakdown or whatever, you can literally just and keep doing your thing. And that's the verse. Then you're ready to bring it back in, hit 1 and 2 again. See what I'm saying? How simple and how dope is that? Really, really cool. Now, as well as like being able to mute, you can also use the QWERTY keys to solo. So any of you see these popping up, it looks really weird, right? But Q, channel 1, W, channel 2, E, so on and so forth, right? But there's other dope things you can do, like if you want to turn on the metronome, you can hit M. Or if you want to mute everything, hit 9. Then bring it back in. Really, really dope. Or if you want to fade out the loop, hit F. Fades it out. Want to fade it back in, hit F again. Really, really cool. And then there's other ones, like one thing that I think is a feature, but it's also a really, really dope use case, is this little stereo mono situation, right? So if I hit 0 or click this, it takes the loop from being stereo to being mono. While this is really, really important, is if you're using this as a live performance tool, or even in the DAW, what have you, sometimes you need stuff to be in mono, right? So you can pan it and do whatever you really want to do with it. But if you're using this as a live performance tool, it's really, really cool to have this option, because, you know, not everybody runs their loops in stereo. Or you may be doing a gig, or you may be doing a church service or whatever, and you only got one line for the track, right? I've been in that situation a million times. So having this in stereo, you're losing stuff when you on the loop, when you go in stereo. So if you're in a mono situation, being able to press 0 and sum it down to mono is really, really useful, I think, in my opinion. So it's really, really cool. You can also bring up the effects by hitting G. That brings up the global effects, like your saturation, EQ, limiter. You can bring up the sends, your reverb and delay, by pressing S. You can bring up the mod effects by pressing D. And we got some new effects here, and I'll talk about these in a little bit to variate. Really, really cool stuff. So P brings up preferences. But I got something really, really cool for you, because who can remember all of these key commands, right? Like, how do you remember what's what? Just simply press K and you get all the list of all of your key commands and what does what inside of Loop Elements, right? So some other notable things you can do with key commands is you can actually switch loops when you're in the preset browser by using your up or down arrows. You can go up and down. You know what I'm saying? And hit enter to load one. See what I'm saying? Really, really cool stuff. Using key commands, we thought long and hard about that in functionality and how you could bring this into a live situation, or even in the DAW. I'm going to show you guys some dope later on, where when you're using it inside of the DAW, how you can actually use the number keys to like automate stuff, because everything inside Loop Elements is fully automatable inside of the DAW. So you can literally perform your loops when you're producing, or produce your loops, as my dude Dave Outing says all the time, right? So in addition to having all of the key commands on Loop Elements, you also have MIDI assignable. So you can literally right click on any of these parameters and learn MIDI CC to your MIDI controller. Now, one important thing to know about when you learn MIDI inside of Loop Elements Pro, that if you learn a control, it does not stay that way. You have to save that into your presets. So what I like to do is create my presets, my set list, so to speak, and then save my MIDI mapping for that preset, or for those presets, and then kind of lock in. And I'll dig a little bit more into that a little deeper later when we talk about that, when we're using MIDI assignability. All right. So that is pretty much the overview of the interface with Loop Elements and how you kind of get around it. So of course, down here you have like your mixer section, where you can literally control the volume on everything. You know what I'm saying? I can bring the kick down. You know what I'm saying? So you got all of that, right? But not only can I do that, I can also switch out any of these loops, right? I can easily go here, say, or add a loop. Like this is empty. Let's just add something. I'll just add in something else in here. And then I can add something else right here. Maybe I want to add like a shaker. You know what I'm saying? So you can literally do whatever, and there are like hundreds of loops and elements, tambourines, and all kind of stuff. The elements is really where everything is, and you can just try and experiment and make it into whatever you want. But as well as having elements and all of those things to choose for, you have channel effects. So if you look down here, you see these little, we call them hamburger icons. You've seen them before, right next to the numbers. If you click on that, it brings up the channel effects for any of these channels, right? So you can easily affect that. So let's solo this channel. I can add verb, delay. I can compress it. Even though it's filtered, I can filter it some more. And then change my emphasis. I mean, just whatever you want to do. Pitch it. Now I got a whole different element, right? So it not only allows you to just, change loops, but you can also edit them and make them yours. You know what I mean? Now, one cool thing about these channel effects is this little window is actually movable. So if you mouse right above it and click, you can move it anywhere in the interface you want. This is helpful for when you're working with like multiple channels. Maybe I want to work on this channel. I can move this around, move that around, do what I need to do with it. It's really, really cool. I enjoy that aspect of Loop Elements and just little things like that, little details that just make it really, really cool, right? So that is channel effects. And again, we'll dig into this and kind of experiment, and I'll show you guys how you can do all of that. But that's pretty much the interface and how you get around Loop Elements. So many different features, so many different ways that you can really make this yours. So now that we've kind of walked through everything, let's dig in and let's actually create a loop real quick. I'm going to show you how easy it is to actually create a loop with Loop Elements. Let's go down here to user and we're going to click on empty. And that just empties out all of the slots. When I press play, nothing plays, right? It's just completely empty. And let's get a BPM, maybe like I'm a 90s kid. 97 was a good year, right? And you can go here to the loop browser. Start with a tambourine. Shaker. Let's pan these. Now using channel effects, I can edit this clap and make it sound any way I want to sound. Kill some of the decay. Pitch it. Add a little verb. Well, let's bring this up so we can. I'm just gonna pick a random. Well, before we do that, let's pick a kick. Yep. Loving it already. Add a random element, just random. Oh yeah, that's like that where it is. Let's keep stacking our elements. This is the beauty of it. This is how you really drive it. I'm gonna add in a little perk. And there we have it. That's a bop. I mean, and you can make this whatever you want. There are literally a bajillion combinations you can come up with to really make this yours. And then if you like that loop, you can save it. Like we'll just save it as, I'll put it in the user folder. We'll save it as, what's the BPM? 97, John's Groove. Just like that, just something simple like that. And now that's in there, John's Groove. And I can go here, create another one, or I can come back to it. And that's how you can literally just get in down and dirty. Let's talk about effects. So of course we have different effects in here that you can kind of use. You know what I'm saying? You can use saturation. Really fattens it up. You got, of course, your EQ. You know what I'm saying? Mids. Really, really cool. Compressor. Smash it, you know. Really, really cool. But you got the sends, which you kind of saw that a little bit earlier with your reverb and delay, right? Being able to really capitalize on that. But I want to talk about the mod effects. We got some really, really cool stuff. Some of the stuff we brought over from our other plugins and the new Variate module, which I really want to dig in, right? So you got auto pan. Really cool. And then the filter mod. Change the speed. Frequency. Height. Or even do low pass. Or band pass. So that's really, really cool. Chorus. Phaser. Really, really cool stuff. Every plugin, I try to add in something new. Filter mod came in with Peculiar Sounds V2, you know what I mean? And then we had a couple of new modules that came in with Juice. With this one, I wanted to add in something creative that could be a creative tool, and that is Variate, right? You know, Variate for variation, 8 channels, you can variate all of these channels, right? You get the dad joke. So I'm gonna show you guys something really, really simple, how it can variate. So let's go to the shaker, right? No, the tambourine, right? Got that soloed, go right back in here. And if I turn on Variate, listen to what happens. Now listen to what that does to the loop. So I could do the same thing with the shaker. So pull up the shaker. Then you do it on both the shaker and the tambourine. And listen to what this does to the loop. I mean, I could turn it on anything. I could turn it on channel 7. That's so cool to me. And you can kind of mess with it. Really cool, right? But in addition to do that, you can also reverse anything. So how cool is that? And that's Variate. Gives you like a lot of creative liberty to kind of mess around. And I'm really excited to see what you guys kind of come up with when you guys experiment with it. I think it's a really cool module. It looks cool. It gives that vibe. It gives that variation to everything you do, and allows you to kind of get beyond just the static loop as it is. You know, you can add some swing to it, some shuffle to it. It's just really, really cool. I've really enjoyed putting that together and kind of adding that in. So as you can see, If you're a live musician, Loop Elements is the perfect companion, especially if you're that guy that just uses loops live. You know what I mean? You're not running stems, you're not doing all of that stuff like that. If you only use loops live, Loop Elements now is the best way to run loops live in a live performance or church service, whether you're touring, gigging, whatever. I'm excited to see you guys use it out in the field.